Michelle are podcast's most interesting and loving couple. Join them every week as this radio personality and this author come together to let you into their lives.
So we're talking about Ron Jeremy. By the way, comedian Jim Norton has a great story about the time that he was at a brothel in Vegas. He walked into one of the rooms and he sees Ron Jeremy fucking a girl. And Ron Jeremy just signals to him, hey, go just put your penis in her mouth. She's fine with it. Wild, right? Wild.
So you said Jeremy used to hang out with Trump? That's what you said?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Did I?
That's what it sounded like.
That's crazy.
Okay. Based on that Jim Norton joke you told, I just thought...
It's not a joke. It's a story.
No.
I did hear Jim Norton say that once upon a time.
You know, I believe it. Just like Trump said, grab her by the pussy. Just put your dick in her mouth.
Two things can be true.
Hold on.
Very true.
I'm really upset that he said that specific thing because that's been my motto for like the last 7 days.
It's been my motto for the last 7 days too,
like,
actually.
Two things can be true.
I've been saying that so much to people too.
It's not like he just mocked me just now because I looked at him this morning and I said, honey, two things can be true.
Oh my God. All right, look, we have our friends here today. What a way to open up a podcast. We have our friends Marana and her guy Chris. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Hello.
So if you hear our live show that we do weekly on Tuesdays, Marana's been on with us multiple times to discuss the love relationships topics that we talk about. So we are trying something new. And we are allowing our friends to come on with us, man, and just hang out and talk. And it's going to be a series of episodes with our friends. So I want you to definitely strap in 2023.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time. How you guys feeling?
We're feeling fantastic.
Chris, how's your deck?
Oh, yeah.
It's I don't know. It was crackly, so I need to get some medicine for that, I think.
How does Marana deal with it?
She puts the medicine on it.
With her hands or her mouth?
Depends.
Two things can be true.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, shit.
So I've been friends with Marana for a while. She's from Cali. My man Chris is out in Louisiana. If there's one thing from the both of you, what's one thing that you love from the place that you come from?
The fresh produce here where I come from.
Fresh produce. I think that's it's an underrated love.
In the summertime, I can drive down the road to one little country area.
Please don't.
There'd be a fruit stand on the roadside, and you can get all the nectarines and peaches and all that kind of stuff.
Color me there.
Yeah, so good.
That is
so
fantastic. Good. What about you, Chris?
Two things can be true again, I guess. Food and friends, actually. It's pretty cool. And yes, we don't quite have as good of strawberries as she.
You said friends?
I thought you said strawberries.
No, you weren't following. Sorry.
Wait, him or me?
Friends and food are the two, are the things, are the one combined thing because we do a lot of it together here. And then I was just pointing out about the fresh produce that she points out that they have better strawberries than we do.
No, well, I mean, hell yeah. I mean, yeah. The climate's better. But I will say this. You know, I've never been to Louisiana. You're in New Orleans?
No, I'm just north of the capital, so about 70 miles from New Orleans.
Okay. So you went to New Orleans last year.
Yeah, I did.
And you had a good time.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah. And it was the first time I had been back in a long time, actually.
Oh, because you went when you were younger.
Yeah, I used to go when I was younger. Growing up in Little Rock, we used to go for Mardi Gras.
Right.
And so that was always a really good time. But there was also a lot of things I couldn't do because I was
You
young.
gotta show your titties for the beads?
I didn't, but I also had a great rack, so I didn't really have to do that.
You just got beads.
Yeah.
Did you do something else on your knees with those beads?
Only for you.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway.
Dude, you better keep the beats in stock.
Yeah.
I mean, his deck is fine,
Hey,
Chris.
I can ship you some beads if you need them.
Oh.
Very good. My goodness, so helpful so early.
Right?
We thought you might
Oh,
like to
shit,
experience New
Marana's
Orleans
gonna-
right out.
Marana's gonna be here during Mardi Gras. That should be interesting.
That's exciting.
Oh, that's gonna be a good time.
That is exciting.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm going out
Wait,
there.
wait. Are you
for
gonna get a
the
king
month of
cake?
February.
Get a king
Yes.
cake. Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, the king cake. It's a must-have.
Just call me so I can enjoy it vicariously through you. Like-
But you know what's really fucked up? They stopped putting the baby inside.
Yeah, they did. Let me tell you, when we were there last summer, we ordered a king cake, and they specifically were like, if you want a baby in there, you have to tell us, because we don't
Right.
put it in, we're not allowed to put it in
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, that's really
baby?
fucked up. So the deal
A
is
live
if you-
baby?
Sometimes.
No,
Oh, I'm kidding.
Well, it depends, and if you're in the ninth ward or something, there might be a little live
Oh, I
something
mean,
in
that's
there.
true.
But they put a little plastic baby in the king cake, and if you get the piece with the baby in it, you got to buy the shit the next time.
Yep.
Get the fuck out of here. That's
Yeah,
so
and
funny.
it's so funny because it's an expensive cake. I
Yeah,
get you,
it's
like,
not
you're not getting
cheap.
no
People
cheap
find that
bullshit
offensive?
cake.
No. Well, no,
Why did
people
they-
find it offensive because they didn't want somebody to choke on the baby. That was the whole big thing.
Oh,
Maybe if
my
they were
God.
choking on babies, we wouldn't be a
Yeah,
shortage
exactly.
on baby formula. Like,
Right?
I just feel like people.
Aye.
Like, if we spend more time.
That was very good.
Thank you.
That was very
Huh.
good.
That was for our boy Logic down there. Hi, Logic. I hope you
Logic.
and your girly or baby are great.
Speaking of baby making,
Yeah. Oh, that's for
how
Logic.
appropriate that we just went there.
And Danae is down there. Hey, Asa.
Oh my God, you guys. Baby factories
Everybody's
over here.
missed you.
Yeah.
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
They just want to make sure we're still together.
Yeah, so they can report to the rest of the community.
Yeah.
That'd take a whole 30 seconds.
I tell you, man, I've always had this idea to create blind TMZ, right? And it would be a blind
That would
community
be dope.
TMZ, and it'd be a website updated with all the latest blind gossip.
That would be sick.
You know, Danny has this idea, and I really think about it all the time, especially for me coming into the blind community. So I'm really removed from it, and I can
Stay
just
that
be
way.
entertained. It's so I was like, honey, let me tell you what's happening with these blind people in this group right now. And we just had a whole conversation about it because it was so funny to me. And the fact that blind people put so much on Twitter.
Oh, they put their lives
Like,
on
I
Twitter.
never
Oh,
could imagine.
Facebook.
That is amazing.
And Facebook.
Oh, Facebook's the worst.
I
because
hate that
all-
face because
Yes.
they can write long form fucking posts.
And
Correct.
if you get some of those blind fuckers started, dude, it's like it's never going to end.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Chris would say it's like talking to a woman all the time. Because Michelle, okay. So
Here we
Chris
go.
has this
Here
thing,
we go.
He says you can't ever ask a woman like, did you go and pick up the Coke I asked you to? Because she's going to tell you she got the Coke and who she ran into and what they talked about and what store she went to and how many other things they saw and what she saw on sale and whatever. Like, you can't ever just get a straight yes or no answer. They tell you all the stuff in the
all
middle.
of it.
Which actually
Every
is kinda
single
true.
detail that matters.
So,
that doesn't matter.
So here's my new thing. So she'll start telling me something that she's watching on show, and I'll stop her and say, hey, guy version.
Oh, I gotta try this with Michelle.
I'll kill you.
I gotta try this
Let's
with
not.
Michelle. Michelle
Well,
goes. Michelle goes. She came in here last night. And she goes, hey, I really want to tell you this idea. Literally, I was in the bedroom 2 minutes prior to this. I come back to the office, and she comes chasing after me. Hey, I wanted to tell you about this idea I had with my best friend. I want to tell you this idea that I had with my best friend. And I was like, can you wait to tell me? I was gonna let you tell me everything when I go back to the room in a few minutes. Okay. She goes, no, I really want to tell you now. So she sits down, and I was like, this is gonna take forever. I already know. She goes, no, it won't.
Shit.
She was in here for 6 minutes.
Okay, false. I was in here for 4 minutes and 37 seconds, actually. Because I knew if I didn't make it in less than 5, you would get really impatient and start checking out. So for your information, I came here at 4:35 this morning and was in here for 4 minutes and 37 seconds.
She says, I have a threshold. I have a 5-minute threshold. If something reaches 4:47, count me out.
Yeah, I'm about done.
Yeah,
I agree.
And the fact is, I had to convince him to let me stay, and that was part of my time. And then he
Well, it
looks
should have been. I mean, you stayed, so there you
and
go.
then he looks at me and goes, "You act like I don't want you around," and I'm like, "Look how you treat me."
Go spread that around, blind people. Dan doesn't want his wife in the same room with him.
Well,
I always knew he was an asshole.
it is.
And she talks too much and tells too long of stories.
It is so funny because, like, they always say men and women are just so different, and it really is true. My cousin Amber and I have talked about this as well because in relationships,
Now, see, her husband knows the deal, but there you go. So there you go.
We want to talk about how we feel and how we love the other and all this, but we do it kind of consistently, like whatever. And I have found out not that long ago that when men say, hey, I love you, things are great, whatever, that's until they say something different. It could be 6 years down the road. Everything's cool because they haven't said anything different.
Yeah. Honestly, that's literally how it is. Like, a man is going to tell you what the fuck he thinks.
Right.
He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's not going to try to dance around it. And that's why when these chicks who like, oh my God, I don't know. He's telling you. He's telling you he doesn't want to be with you. He's telling you in so many ways he doesn't want this anymore, and you're still trying to like force it upon him.
But you know, what I'll say to this is I don't disagree, but what I will say is as a woman with brothers, I communicate completely differently. Like, women with sisters get on my nerves.
I think that's true. I think there's a difference between
Yeah, that's true.
women born with only having brothers.
Yeah, so, like, I have 4 brothers, and I look at Danny sometimes, and I look at him, and I have to say, look, I know that your ex, when she said good morning, she actually meant good morning, take the dog out, wash the dishes, and can you fold the towels? When I say good morning, I mean hello. Like, I have to look at him and break it down before I say what I'm going to say because he doesn't have, like, he puts us all in the same mental box. And so if I look at him and I'm like, good morning, and I say it in a certain way, he's like, oh, I know what kind of day it's going to be. No, honey, I'm just telling you good morning. I say that to say, when I'm telling him something, I know I have to be direct because I have brothers. Like, I know that he wants me to communicate in a way that says, this is what you did, this is how what you did made me feel, and this is how, like, what can we do about this?
Yeah, I don't try to communicate subliminal messages.
Yeah,
I don't
either.
expect
That's wild.
Chris to read my mind, or I don't have any hidden, like, whatever. Okay, Christopher. I don't have any hidden messages in good morning, you know, but I do. I don't have good hidden messages in good morning, but I do. I mean, I am one who, and this is, I think women do a lot. They want reassurance. Like, they want to know, hey, are we still on the same page? We want, you know, all that kind of.
If we're not on the same page, we'll tell you.
I think it depends. Because sometimes men,
oh Lord,
y'all will start thinking about some stuff, and because of past experiences, You just are like, okay, this must be how it's gonna go, so I'm going
Yeah,
to.
I'm guilty of that. If I've already come up with something negative that is, I'm like, oh God, I already know how this is gonna fucking go. And like, I already have these expectancies because men do have a tendency of saying, all women are the same, and I'm guilty of that.
Right.
I'm guilty of
Yes.
that because I will, no matter how good you are to me, no matter what, I still am getting over the fact that, wow, there isn't a chick doing something with particular motives. And I always had that. Like, for years, I've had this idea that women don't do anything out of the sheer, like, will to want to do it. There's always some hidden intention behind it.
Oh,
And I
fuck
know
it,
that's
I'm gonna
pretty
regret
toxic.
this. I do. I'm gonna regret this, but I sometimes do the same shit. So
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what's important, to be able to say I identify this as a flaw, and because I'm aware of this flaw, because the thing about Danny is he's aware of the flaw. So whenever I bring it up to him and I say like, hey, you're backsliding into this behavior pattern, then he's already like, okay, well, I'm self-aware, so thank you for making me more aware. And then
but is it a flaw or is it conditioned?
I think it's
I think
a
it's
flaw.
more conditioned.
I think it's programming,
Yeah.
for sure.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
I think a lot of things there's conditioned responses. You're used to this, but
Right.
yeah, Chris is guilty of that. He's like, "Oh, you're actually doing this." Like, no, there's really no ulterior motive. This is exactly what I mean, and that's just something that we cross as we come to it. But he does expect, like, if I'm saying one thing, like, this is what I really mean. It's like, no, I really don't mean that at all.
Yeah,
That's
and I
not
think
what
it's
I'm saying.
important to find the balance. I'm at the point, I think, now in life and in my relationships that I try not to generalize. Like, I try not to say men do or women do, because then
Right.
that negatively impacts how the conversation goes. And even with my friendships, I asked one of my friends a couple of months ago, I said, what kind of friendship do you need from me? Because obviously there's a disconnect here where you feel like you're not getting something. I'll straight up ask Danny, like, what do you need from me right now? And I think it's important to be able to communicate that part with your partner. And that's why I personally say, instead of saying it's conditioned, I say it's a flaw. Because, yeah, it's a conditioned response, but it's also something you can overcome. And
Sure.
so I think about flaws as something that are less permanent. Like, I feel like conditioned responses, you're looking at Pavlov's dog, and you're just going to sit there and be electrocuted for the rest of your life.
Well,
think
if
that-
you've
I
been
think that-
conditioned hard enough, that's how it feels. So there you go.
For
Yeah,
sure.
and I mean it's hard. It's hard to do a year, 10 years worth of conditioned responses in a year. But slowly, I think you do learn and you adapt and you understand. Like, oh, wait a minute, this is something new. This is something good. This is something that
Right.
is
You need
the
more
reason why I'm not in
positive
that relationship.
Yeah.
examples of that conditioning to be broken and
Yeah.
say, hey, you know what, I don't. Maybe I was wrong. I was getting with the wrong people. I was not picking the people I should have been picking. And
Right.
I think over time, man, over time, I'm sure it'll definitely loosen up a lot of those mental grips that we have on old behaviors.
Yeah, and I think it takes a willingness to,
Want to do it.
I mean, not even to just want to do it. It takes a willingness to want to be better. Because
Sure.
if you think about it, you become so negative over time. And I even say this, I said this to Terica recently. I said, Terica, I was so negative and I didn't realize how negative I was. And you all were enablers by saying, like, oh, well, Michelle's dealing with this health thing, or Marquise is stressing her out, or whatever. And so you allowed that negative behavior pattern, instead of bringing it to my attention, you swept it under the rug, and then I didn't see it. And then you guys wanted me to handle you according to something I wasn't aware of.
Sure.
And so I feel like now that we're older and we can look back on situations like that. First, we have to want to be better. And in order to want to be better, we have to be aware of the things that made us the worst parts of ourselves.
1,000%.
And sometimes it's people. Like, there are people, my ex brought out the worst parts of me. But, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you transversely bring out better parts of me. I have more girlfriends now than ever before. And I cry, which is something I normally, like, I openly will come to you and cry, which is something I normally wouldn't do. So I feel like it's wanting to be better for yourself, and then so that when you're ready to be in that partnership, you're bringing everything. And you're not giving only 75% or only 60% or whatever you have at the time. You're giving your best to the person.
It That's funny. I feel like, there definitely have been people in my life that absolutely bring out the worst parts of me, like the parts that I don't really like. But, adversely, Chris does bring out the best parts of me. And, we've been together for a year now. And I'm at the point now where I think we're both just slowly getting comfortable and falling into like just a good place in for both of us, and realizing, like, I mean, we'll go back and forth and tease and whatever, but it's always healthy, it's always said with a laugh. And I think that we both know deep down that we are with the best person for us, that there would be nobody better that I would could find, or that he could find, and like we're just a great match. And I think we're finally becoming comfortable with that, so.
But another side of it too is when you are uh, conditioned or flawed or whatever to hide your best parts. That's a real thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. It
I'm
is.
so glad that you said that. And I'm so glad that you said it the way that you said it. Because that's what I used to say about my ex. Is that not only did he make me the worst version of myself, but he smothered the best parts of me.
Fuck yeah. I mean, I
And
went through 12 years of it, so
and
there you go.
so I'm so glad that you said that, because it's very relevant in this
That's very
situation.
true.
Well, because it makes you think when somebody says something positive or the person you're with says something positive, you're just like, no, I don't know. And, or, you don't really believe when that person's saying something positive. I'm gonna catch a ration of shit for this later. But yeah, it's weird. I hear that.
It's really interesting, and I want to kind of backtrack to what Marana said, that you guys have been together for a year, and it's just now that you're starting to find your stride when it comes to the comfort within the relationship. And I just want to highlight that, because I don't think people realize, like, yeah, the fun honeymoon puppy fucking love stage, all that shit is fun for the first 6-7 months, right? And it's a good time. But like, when shit starts to really come out and you start to see how people respond to certain things, that takes time. That aspect of a relationship and figuring out behaviors and everything, that fucking shit takes time, man.
And you've got to be willing to put in the time for it too. And
Absolutely.
I've always haven't been the best listener probably when it comes to that shit, but uh, it starts to work itself out. If you want it to, you've got to want it to. But you know what I mean?
There are things that you have to see, your behaviors you have to see. I mean, for one, like, I mean, Chris and I have had our hard times, we've had arguments, whatever you want to call them. But one thing that I noticed about him is that even whenever he was at his maddest at me, even whatever, he still treated me like he loved me, and he talked to me like he loved me. I could tell he was mad, but he didn't lash out. He didn't name call. He didn't do this or that or whatever. And things like that, they really stand out. So I think that, it takes time. Those types of things where you understand, you know what? This person does love me. They say they do. Their actions are matching their words. They talk to me like they do. And so, and we have started out with some of the biggest things against us. We've got distance, which is tough to overcome
Oh, yeah.
for a lot of people. We've got a lot of health issues for me. I'm getting ready to go through a transplant and stuff, so that's part of the reasons for the distance is because I have to be close to the transplant center. I mean, so you feel like you're starting out with everything against you, but I mean, just being able to overcome that, you think, like, Chris and I were just talking about this last night, like, imagine how much better we'll be in the future because we've made it through all this, so
Yeah.
but you got to be willing to hang in there and to feel those uneasy feelings and to work through the uncertainty and to just really put your emotions in check and think about things before you respond to things like, okay, is that really how I feel or is this just in my head? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it does take a lot of self-discipline and awareness as well to know, like, okay, I've been like this before. Maybe it's not such a good idea.
And all of us, I mean, every single person, especially after you get to a certain age, all of us has a negative experience in our history
Yeah.
that has literally aligned us to be and respond the way that we do. And I think you have to really be open to that when you enter a relationship and understand that, like, hey, if you're dating somebody 30 plus, bruh, they've had some baggage. They're coming with something. Something happened.
Yeah.
You know? Not every relationship is going to be just like perfect, and now these people are being shaped into, these situations where they get to respond in a negative way. And again, what Marana said is, like, if you really have the patience and you really put in the time, you will see the change. There is change.
This is absolutely 100% true. And I'm so glad, we're establishing all of this. But let's be honest and also say there is a time and a place when enough is enough and mistreatment and all of that stuff becomes too much. And honey, you're going to tell us about how Rascal Flatts frontman decided that he was enough with his Playboy money wife, right?
Yeah, so the guitarist, actually.
One of them.
Joe Don Rooney, the lead guitarist for country music trio Rascal Flatts, is in the middle of a contentious divorce from his Playboy model wife. He says she cheated on him, and she says he's a cheater who's hooked on drugs and alcohol. According to new legal documents obtained by TMZ, the musician claims that his wife, Tiffany Fallon, is having an affair with her personal trainer. He says the affair started before he filed for divorce in January 2021 and believes the adulterous relationship is still going strong. Tiffany cops to adultery but denies it was the cause of their marital breakdown and says that the affair only began after Joe withdrew from the marriage due to habitual alcoholism and drug abuse. She claims he's guilty of adultery as well. This is nasty.
This is some country shit is what it is.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. We have reported Joe was busted for DUI in September 2021. And okay. For his part, Joe denies abusing narcotic drugs, though he admits he's used cocaine a few times.
Only a few.
Just a couple times.
But no narcotics, though.
Yeah. He says that he suffers from an alcohol disorder and is getting treatment, but says his boozing isn't the cause of the marriage collapse. He says that she started having an affair in 2021 when he was on the wagon. Is that a show?
He fell the fuck off the wagon. No, on the wagon means
on the wagon means
good.
he's sober.
Means he's sober.
Oh, okay. I asked that because they put a video under here. A video of him, I guess. So.
Straight off of the wagon.
Apparently.
No,
Joe and
off of that, apparently.
Joe and Tiffany, a former Miss Georgia and Playmate of the Year, got hitched back in 2006, and they have 3 kids together, and they're also fighting over money and custody. I always think divorces are so nasty when there's money involved, and it's so funny because I was just a little intern working for Mark Anthony about 11 years ago, and I was there during the divorce between Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony, and I was laughing at everybody who kept asking me, hey, what's going on? Do you know anything? I'm like, I'm a little shitty intern. I'm not gonna know shit. But again, like same thing. Like at that point, I had seen everything that was gonna happen. I was seeing who was gonna get the houses. It was wild. This is crazy.
You know, in the most like blatant terms, she's saying, "Yeah, I had an affair,
but he led me to the affair.
But
he's the reason.
His drinking and drugs led me to the affair." I just think this is fantastic.
So he filed for divorce.
Yeah.
Which, why are we getting on this man? Like, obviously he's admitted to doing his shit. She's admitting to doing some nasty shit, but she admitted to doing exactly what he divorced her for. Like,
facts. You know what's the best part, honestly? And I don't wish this on this man, but I feel like Tiffany, she's going to be like one of them trailer park chicks who tries to have this man assassinated or something. Like, we need to really follow this story because I feel like she's going to end up on an episode of Snapped.
I kind of feel like, too, dude, he married a Playboy chick. Can he really be surprised? I mean, like, was this lost on you?
I mean, come on. Porn stars are moms, too.
Okay, just because she worked for Playboy.
I'm not saying that she was a porn. I'm just making a drastic point to say they eventually grow and maybe don't want to show off their body anymore, but pretty chicks are crazy.
Actually, what I was going to say was just because she's a Playboy bunny doesn't mean she's a porn star. She probably just has a sex tape. But he didn't.
That hasn't been shot.
So, like,
okay, sorry.
But then again, Kim Kardashian does as well, so you know.
Vivid Entertainment wasn't excited about Tiffany Phillips, whatever her damn name is.
Her last name is Fallon.
I kind of feel like
that one.
If you don't want somebody, if you don't want somebody who parties like a rock star, maybe it's a good idea not to
date a fucking guitarist of a.
Exactly. Precisely.
Like, that's a great point, Marana. Oh, gee, you think a guy who's part of one of the biggest fucking bands of all time for country is not doing cocaine? Like, what are we talking about?
My favorite part of this is that she started having an affair because he was drinking. And, like, the fact that she's trying to justify it, really, you can do a lot of things because,
Michelle,
like when your husband, I couldn't ever imagine trying to call one of my girlfriends. It'd be like, I couldn't ever imagine calling you, Miranda, like, hey, girl, you know, I'm gonna start having an affair because then he started drinking and it's too much. Like, my friends wouldn't justify that shit. That's wild.
No, you're going to get mad at me. Okay. I'm going to hear some shit right now, and I'm going to be called a sexist pig and a chauvinist and all this fun shit.
I only call him that in public.
But this is a clear-cut example of when a woman, and a lot of women do this, most, not all, most, cannot take accountability for something they do wrong.
They always want to place the blame.
I agree with that.
Yes, they always have to point a finger. They can admit that they did wrong at the expense of someone else. And it's like, no, just say you fucked up.
I mean, and I feel like she should also at some point cop to the fact that she most likely was having this affair before he
got
started
out of control.
Drinking again.
Mm-hmm.
Probably so. Yeah.
He probably started drinking because she was getting new dick.
I hope he doesn't become the next Wendy Williams. Man.
Don't do that to this man.
Like, I really...
We need Rascal Flatts
I really
out
like him.
Maybe she drove him to drink. Chris is right. Maybe it was
that's
her
a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, yo. Especially if he found out about the cheating.
He's been with her since 2006.
Come on, yo.
That was Cars 2. That Life is a Highway thing. That's that new Rascal Flatts money. Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, man. Nah, we can't do this. That's nasty.
Oh, man. Tiffany, here's the thing. I'm so glad that you're getting some good dick at this point in your old ass life. Because she's had 3 kids, so she needs to be getting it from somewhere. So I will give her that. Secondly, please take accountability for the fact you draw that man a drink. And if you turn him into Winnie Williams, I'm going to start writing you angry letters.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I will. All right.
People like Rascal Flatts out here.
I love them. I'm hurt for him. Like, God bless the broken
Just not the
road.
coke. Okay.
God bless the broken road.
He's not blessing it anymore.
Definitely not coming back to you.
He's going straight to cocaine.
Yeah,
Apparently. But not narcotics, though.
Ay.
All right. That is fantastic. Add down in the DM pod to let us know what you think on Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok.